It's a lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV Main News. To present, my name is Jeffrey Siampo. Top stories in the news. President Edgar Lungu directs police to enforce health guidelines amid political rallies. Police cancel UPND KITWE political campaign launch rally. The CONCOURT refuses to withdraw John SANGWA'S ECL eligibility case. And in international news, Jacob Zuma pleads not guilty to arms deal corruption scandal. And in sports, ZANACO sack Mr. TAKATIKO as Chris KAUNDA is sent on leave for the remainder of the season.
The much awaited for Camnet conference is now scheduled for May 2021 with your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
We have believed that every Zambian was born for greatness and that you and I can contribute to the development of this nation.
The big questions to ask are, can Zambia develop through agriculture? Can we produce indigenous Zambian millionaires? Plan not to miss this national conference on empowering Zambians through agriculture knowledge. Dates, 28th to 29th May 2021. Time, 0730 hours to 1630 hours. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Charges, 950 kwacha. Lunch inclusive for both days. Payments through via mobile money on 0962 965 883 or 0979 753 010, or you can pay via Stanbic bank account number 91-300-1825-325. Speakers will be Professor Reda.
We need Zambia to be one of the best nations in Africa.
Professor Munkumba.
If you just listen to a lecture, you may remember hardly anything. In 2 weeks' time, it's all gone. If you read, you may remember 10% of what you've read. If you participate in a discussion, 50% retention of the knowledge. So I always tell people, knowledge is the only thing that when you share it, you don't lose it.
Professor Msongole.
Agriculture can actually solve our unemployment for our youth. Through exports, agricultural exports, we can also stabilize our foreign exchange.
Honorable Bob Chinga.
When you do a budget, you plan it so that all the sectors, especially those that could give you low-lying fruits, in other words, you can achieve a lot with it, are the first things you do first.
And biologist Kamweneshe.
If we came together and put our hands together and concentrate on the soil. The people in Kenya, these Swahili people say, Dongo ni mali, means soil, that's money.
Register your participation through Camnet lines. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Another news in detail. President Edgar Lungu has directed the Zambia Police and the Ministry of Health to enforce the COVID-19 guidelines without fear or favor. President Lungu says the Patriotic Front will not conduct political rallies as it asks for votes from the Zambian people. The president says he expects other political parties to follow suit as it is immoral to put people at risk of contracting COVID-19 just because of elections. The head of state said this in Lusaka Wednesday morning during the launch of the Patriotic Front national campaign ahead of the August elections. And President Lungu says the PF government has worked and is proud of its record. We have more in the following report.
President Edgar Lungu has officially launched the Patriotic Front national campaign ahead of the August general elections. Escorted by thousands of supporters who came to witness the official launch at Mulungushi Conference Center in Lusaka, the president has made assurance that the ruling party will conduct issue-based campaigns and that it will not hold public rallies. The president has since instructed the Zambian Police and Ministry of Health to ensure COVID-19 guidelines are followed without fear or favor.
Police in India of a certain number of COVID-19 cases and loss of lives has been reported and attributed to political rallies which were taking place there. And we must surely learn from that. As the president, of course, I will not allow myself or any others to risk the lives of our people at the experience of politics. Therefore, in my capacity as head of state government, I hereby direct the police and the Ministry of Health to ensure enforcement of the COVID-19
the broadcast industry, which can be witnessed through increase in radio and television stations, and that government does not interfere with their operations.
Is remarkable. Especially when we consider that before we came into power, there were only 8 radio stations and 2 television stations. And some say it's freedom of the press and all of that. Some say no, the freedom of the space is mutual. People say what they want to say. These television and radio stations, and they allow them. But if they break the law, we don't deal with them. That's the rule of law.
Meanwhile, President Lungu also says the PF administration has upheld domestic tenant, government development, and adds that the rule of law and nation. And President Lungu also took time to appoint members to aid campaigns in provinces, of which he has appointed PF National Chairperson Ngamukupa, National Presidential Campaign Manager, while former Kabwata Member of Parliament Given Lubinda has been appointed as Vice National Presidential Campaign Manager. Former Housing and Infrastructure Development Minister Vincent Mwale has been appointed as his campaign coordinator for Eastern Province, while former Kasama Member of Parliament Geoffrey Mwamba will coordinate presidential campaigns in Northern Province, and Juston Mulandu will coordinate activities in Central Province. Meanwhile, former Finance Minister Kateri Kalumba has been appointed to coordinate presidential campaigns in Wapula Province, while Frank Ngambi will be in charge of the Copper Belt, among other people. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Meanwhile, the opposition movement for multi-party democracy, MMD, has objected the agenda being driven by the PF through the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, of discouraging the holding of political rallies. MMD spokesperson Kefas Mukuka says the decision is ill-timed as it comes at a time when the PF has been freely moving across the country, campaigning and defying COVID-19 guidelines. Mr. Mukuka tells Camnet News that the move is aimed at disadvantaging the opposition.
We are putting this challenge on the ECZ that they should come out loud and clear. We need proper guidelines. These guidelines should be applicable to all political players. We want to see ECZ make similar restrictions even to the PF, because as things stand, all political parties, apart from the Patriotic Front, have been disadvantaged. We are saying this for a simple reason. Records are there, all things are in the public domain, that the PF have been going around the country in the name of commissioning capital projects, in the name of empowering women groups and the youths. But in the final analysis, those were campaign gimmicks.
And in the same vein, National Democratic Congress NDC faction media director Emmanuel Maliti says it is unconstitutional for President Edgar Lungu to stop other political parties from holding public rallies. Mr. Maliti says public rallies in a general election are a constitutional right for political parties to sell their manifestos. He says there is no statutory instrument that bans political parties, hence no need to inflict laws that disadvantage other political parties from competing fairly.
No SI as we stand that can bar political rallies because it's a constitutional right. And I wish to remind you, sir, that in whatever that we are doing, please be also a candidate. So what you are instructing to if it's other political players, you have constitutional right, first of all, as a Republican president, to protect the constitution of the land. Public rallies in a by-election, in a general election, are a constitutional right for political parties to sell their manifesto. It happened, the COVID-19 has not started today in Zambia. I may wish to remember that, sir, when the COVID was at peak, even the United States were holding a general election. United States, with the all numbers that were drawing, they held public rallies, because public rallies, it's a constitutional right. You can instruct, advise your political party. If you feel you don't need rallies to sell yourself, you can tell them not to hold rallies. But to infringe it on the whole Zambian, all political players, sir, you are abusing your authority.
But the advocates for national development and democracy has welcomed the decision to discourage political party rallies. Speaking to Camnet TV Wednesday, Organization Executive Director Samuel Banda says politics should not endanger people's lives nor put the country at risk of a third wave of COVID-19 outbreak. He has noted that the Electoral Commission of Zambia, based on sound analysis, advised political parties to avoid holding rallies as they are super spreader events. Mr. Banda has since advised political parties to instead focus on alternative means of campaigning, such as door-to-door campaigns, radio, television, print, and social media.
We wish to urge political parties to place the health of the people first and avoid holding rallies during this campaign period to avoid the spread of COVID-19. Our profound advice to all the political parties is that they should comply to the public health guidelines set by Ministry of Health and the Electoral Commission of Zambia. We wish to advise political leaders to use alternative methods of campaigning, such as door-to-door campaigns, social media, radio, and television. We also wish to urge the police service to ensure that political parties should comply to the health guidelines set by the Ministry of Health. Those who want to push a campaign rallies don't mean well for the Zambian people. And we also wish to advise citizens to take responsibility to avoid gathering because of COVID-19.
The Zambia Police Service on the Copper Belt has cancelled an opposition United Party for National Development UPND KITWE launch political rally on grounds that they never saw any notification from the party. Zambia Police spokesperson Esther Mwatakatongo has explained that the UPND did not officially communicate to the police over the rally, as they were only seeing it on social media. She says the police command on the Copper Belt has since asked the UPND to make a fresh appeal. But UPND Copperbelt Province Youth Information and Publicity Secretary in charge of media, Lazarus Sichimba, has denied the police argument, saying they had followed the due process as required. Mr. Sichimba says it is unfortunate that the police would claim that they never saw any notification when in the actual sense they are the ones who even sanctioned the said. The UPND were due to officially launch their campaigns for the August 2021 elections in Kitwe on the Copperbelt province, but have since been asked to push it to the 6th of June 2021.
Fortunately that the police UPND here in Kitwe and on the Copperbelt in particular, that they can deny to say we never informed them that we want to hold a rally on Saturday. We are very much saddened by the development by the police. You know, the police should work professionally. We understand they are working under extreme pressure. But this issue of trying to hide in the name of, to say they know the UPND never informed them on the issue of the police, you know, it's quite unfortunate. And we want to say this, that this country does not belong to only the PF. This country belongs to all of us as Zambians. And we are, as long as you are a stroke one citizen of this country, we are stakeholders of this country.
So I'm calling the Commissioner Copper Belt. What is on the ground is that when the UPND were setting their date, they had not notified the police.
Okay.
But when they were engaged yesterday by the higher office on the Copper Belt, the Commissioner's office, they were claiming to say that they had submitted their notification to the regulating officer in KITWE, to which the officer in charge of that particular station was saying that he didn't receive anything from them. So from the meeting which they had, they agreed that they should send in a fresh notification, because the one they are claiming they had forwarded to the police was not received by the police. The officer in charge didn't see it. So meaning that as police, we were not aware formally to say that the UPND were supposed to have that rally, apart from what we were seeing on social media.
The Independent Broadcasting Authority, IBA, has called on media houses to be responsible as they report in this election season. Speaking during a capacity-building workshop for reporters, production staff and advertising on Wednesday, IBA board member Claire Limbwambwa notes that in the era of the COVID-19 restrictions, politicians are left with no choice but to use traditional media to send their messages across. In this regard, she notes that media houses should strive to be professional and ethical at all costs before, during and after the elections. She has also urged journalists to report fairly on all political parties through their adherence to standards of accuracy, impartiality and responsibility.
In every election, the media plays a critical role of providing the platforms for various political players and civil society organizations to reach out to the electorate. It also plays a critical role in terms of educating both the political players and the civil society organization. This is especially so this year, as parties have been discouraged from holding rallies due to the coronavirus pandemic, leaving the broadcast media as a front runner in these campaigns that we're experiencing. Broadcasting in particular is a preferred medium of disseminating information because of its ability to reach the intended audiences instantly, and also in allowing for immediate feedback, especially in the case of live radio and TV broadcasts. It is therefore not surprising that media coverage is one of the yardsticks used to determine whether or not an election was free and fair. This calls for greater care by both radio and television outlets in terms of how they report the forthcoming general elections. The Independent Broadcasting Authority is aware of the huge task and the challenge facing the broadcasting stations.
The non-governmental gender organizations coordinating Council, NGOCC, has charged that while the country joined the rest of the continent in celebrating Africa Freedom Day, the organization is still concerned about the economic malaise and poverty levels on the continent. The organization is particularly concerned that poverty has continued to bear the face of a woman in Zambia and indeed on the African continent. The women's movement has also noted that despite the political independence, Zambia today is among the highest indebted countries in Africa, which is said to continue having a negative effect on the citizens' lives. NGOCC has therefore demanded that African leaders prioritize economic emancipation of the continent. The institution has since asked Zambians to critically scrutinize the various manifestos of political parties to ensure that they vote only for those whose priority is poverty eradication. This is according to a statement issued to Camnet TV by NGOCC Executive Director Florence Lufunsa. Healing Word Ministries presiding pastor Moses Chilwa has called on President Edgar Lungu to pardon more prisoners from prisons. Pastor Chilua notes that most prisoners have reformed and need to be reintegrated into society for them to contribute effectively to national development. Pastor Chilua said this in a sermon at Mukobeko Maximum Prison in KITWE. We have more in this report.
Central Province is home to thousands of inmates under Mukobeko Maximum Correctional Services. In the prisons, everyone is condemned according to society. With a high number of inmates, the government expenditure on the reformation services is quite high, with many stakeholders calling for a better way to decongest the prisons. This harsh reality prompted the man of God, Pastor Moses Chiluma, to visit the inmates at Mukobeko prisons to share a word of God with them. While there, Pastor Chiluma made an earnest appeal to government.
And I want to appeal to our President EDGAR Lungu. I want you to understand the testimonies that have come out of this place. The Minister after elections, the Minister of Justice, Mulekwato Mutima wa Buntu. Amen. Ngamule fumi abantu. Mwila salafie abadi 500 nga fijana mwene countrywide. Ababantu mule mona muno. These people, most of them have reformed. As government, you are spending so much time to feed innocent people who are supposed to feed themselves. These are productive people. They belong to a greater economy of Zambia. I appeal to the President, the Minister of Home Affairs to come, releasing 2,000, 3,000 people on parole. It is not a big deal. Empty these prisons with your forgiveness. There are people watching this broadcast now, and you know, and your heart bears witness that you are a criminal. But because you have got money, each time they want to arrest you, you go through bribes, you go through corruption, you buy the judges, you buy everyone.
The inmates also took turns to give their testimonies.
There, and his love is there. I don't look at myself as a condemned person. Sometimes in the there's no condemnation in Christ. That's one thing you have to carry. And our being here is a process. How many of, I know a lot of us read the Bible and we know the story of Jonah. Because it was a punishment. That's not a punishment, it was a process. So your being here is a process. God is waking up to something so that when we step out of there, if you stand in front of people and talk to people, they'll believe to say there's a God that's doing something in somebody's life.
So then that so auto mechanics, amen. Nama skills apsana. Wa bypass paria sha kwete pona insta ya ku school na chisungu at least nomba kutinala na but naliamba grade 1, amen. Na chisungu chonse I can able to English.
We thank the Camnet for what you are doing to reach out to the people who are not considered.
While the harsh reality is that the prison walls are cold, the inmates use their time to compose songs and praise God while they wait for presidential pardon. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News.
You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. We take a break. We'll be back with more news.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options. From those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Through the Link Zambia 8000 project, the country has seen increased economic activities as producers no longer face difficulties in accessing markets. Vote for Edgar LUNGU and the PF that have brought you change.
Every day for me means hard work. Going to sell my goods at the local market. To get more customers, I have my secret. Oracle Pure Glycerin. It's soft, smooth, and keeps my skin perfect. And my customers know it. Thank you, Oracle, for my perfect skin.
It's been 365 days of bringing news on your screens. 365 days of giving you nothing but factual stories. 365 days of giving you those breaking stories, and 365 days of giving you balanced and unbiased news. The last 365 days has made Camnet Television as the most trusted TV channel in current affairs. We together look forward to another 365 days. Remember, Camnet Television, not just another channel.
This month, we're taking over your TV screen with brand new entertainment.
We're the new leaders, ain't got no competitors.
A Border Patrol agent is forced to work for a Mexican cartel in Coyote.
My family! It's up to you to keep them safe.
A Ghanaian fashion designer weathers societal prejudice while chasing her dreams in 40 and Single.
Single ladies to the dance floor.
A husband will stop at nothing to cover the tracks of his wife's outrageous crime in What If.
It is your responsibility to make sure that I come out clean.
3 chefs go head-to-head using ingredients chosen by their very own neighbors in Kitchen Crash.
Oh, I love it. It's blended. It's meat sauce.
There's meat sauce.
And there are wacky adventures galore when 2 families are forced to live together in Boy, Girl, Dog, Cat, Mouse, Cheese.
We can handle it.
It's your moment to be taken over with the freshest entertainment.
The much awaited for Camnet conference is now scheduled for May 2021 with your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
We have believed that every Zambian was born for greatness, and that you and I can contribute to the development of this nation.
The big questions to ask are, can Zambia develop through agriculture? Can we produce indigenous Zambian millionaires? Plan not to miss this national conference on empowering Zambians through agriculture knowledge. Dates, 28th to 29th May 2021. Time, 0730 hours to 1630 hours. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Charges, 950 kwacha. Lunch inclusive for both days. Payments through via mobile money on 0962 965 883 or 0979 753 010, or you can pay via Stanbic Bank account number 91 3000 1825 325. Speakers will be Professor Reda.
We need Zambia to to be one of the best nations in Africa.
Professor Munkumba.
If you just listen to a lecture, you may remember hardly anything. In 2 weeks' time, it's all gone. If you read, you may remember 10% of what you've read. If you participate in a discussion, 50% retention of the knowledge. So I always tell people, knowledge is the only thing that when you share it, you don't lose it.
Professor Msongole.
Agriculture can actually solve our unemployment for our youth. Through exports, agricultural exports, we can also stabilize our foreign exchange.
Honorable Bob Chinga.
When you do a budget, you plan it so that all the sectors, especially those that will give you low-lying fruits, in other words, you can achieve a lot with it, are the first things you do first.
And biologist Kamweneshe.
If we came together and put our hands together and concentrate on the soil. The people in Kenya, these Swahili people said, Dongo ni mali, means soil, that's money.
Register your participation through Camnet lines. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. The Constitutional Court has declined to withdraw the case where Legal Resources Foundation Limited petitioned President Edgar Lungu's eligibility. The legal firm was seeking a declaration that President Lungu's nomination papers filed on the 17th of May 2021 to contest for the general elections were now void as it contravenes Articles 106 Cap 3 of the Constitution. The foundation in this case argued that President Lungu had contravened the said article the moment he filed in his nomination papers with a returning officer, supported by an affidavit stating that he is qualified to contest as a presidential candidate in the general elections because he has been sworn in twice in the office of president. But on Monday this week, the petitioner filed in a notice before court to discontinue the case after Chapter 1 Foundation Limited and Dr. Sishua filed in a similar petition seeking the same reliefs. And when the matter came up in chambers Wednesday morning, Constitutional Court Judge Mungeni Mulenga refused to withdraw the petition on grounds that a wrong provision of the law had been cited in the notice of discontinuation. The court has also consolidated the two petitions by Legal Resources Foundation Limited and Chapter 1 Foundation and Dr. Sishua as one. Meanwhile, Lusaka lawyer Louis Marshall has applied to join as an interested party in the matter as a respondent. The court will hear the petition on the 8th and 9th of June by a full court.
Filing in a notice of discontinuation in the case this morning. The Legal Resources Foundation Limited, which petitioned the head of state last week Friday, seeking a declaration that his nomination papers filed on the 17th of May 2020 election has been dropped, following the petition filing in a notice of discontinuation.
Chipata resident Cynthia Zulu has withdrawn the case in which she was challenging the eligibility of former Transport and Safety Agency Chief Executive Officer Zindaba Soko to contest the Chipata Central seat because he was fired from the civil service recently. In this matter, Zulu had cited ECZ and Mr. Soko as respondents and was seeking a declaration that the electoral body is not allowed to accept Mr. Soko's nomination papers for election as Member of Parliament on basis of dismissal from public office on grounds of gross misconduct within the past 5 years, in line with Article 70 Cap 2H, Cap 2 and Cap H of the Constitution. But giving its ruling in chambers Wednesday morning, the court withdrew the case with cause for wasting its time. We have more in this report.
Former Transport and Safety Agency Chief Executive Officer Zindaba Soko has thanked the court for dismissing the case where he was being petitioned by Chipata resident Cynthia Zulu that he was not eligible to contest as a Member of Parliament for Chipata. In this matter, Ms. Zulu had cited the Electoral Commission of Zambia, and Mr. Soko has responded in the matter and was seeking a declaration that the electoral body is not allowed to accept Mr. Soko's nomination papers for election as a Member of Parliament on basis of dismissal from public office on grounds of gross misconduct within the past 5 years, in line with Article 72H of the Constitution. The petitioner had argued that Mr. Soko was not eligible to stand as a parliamentary candidate for Chipata Central Constituency on grounds laid out in Article 72H of the Constitution. However, Ms. Zulu turned on her earlier decision and decided to withdraw the petition from the court, now leaving the court to dismiss the case with cause. In speaking shortly after the court, Mr. Soko's lawyer had this to say.
Constitutional Court started to hear the petition of Cynthia Zulu against my client, and they therefore have withdrawn the petition, but the petition has also been condemned to costs. So that marks the end of this petition. So then my client is now free to go back and continue his campaigns.
Meanwhile, Mr. Soko has thanked the court for a fair ruling delivered.
This is a situation that the political battlefield is very volatile currently, and you see we who are seen as front runners and who carry the day, you know, people are trying to find skirmishes, trying to find something wrong and to make you fall out of the race. But I think this decision by the Constitutional Court is a very encouraging decision, and you see that's how the law is. The law is not selective, the law is protective, and I feel very protected by the law, and I'm ready for the battle.
Miriam Kemba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Still in court news, the Choma Magistrate Court has set the 19th of August 2021 as a date for commencement of trial in the case where Axon Sejani and 4 others are charged with the abduction of the Hatembo siblings after the state failed to proceed with the case due to lack of witnesses before court. This was following an application made by Senior State Advocate Monde Kamwi Tembo that the prosecution faced logistical challenges in bringing the witnesses. She asked Principal Resident Magistrate Ida Perry to grant the application of adjournment.
The defense team, which came very ready to robustly defend their clients, refused. But then the court, made a ruling by way of giving a benefit of doubt to the state that they can be given an opportunity at the next hearing to be able to present their witnesses. So it is hoped that these witnesses will be presented, and the defense team, I think, took it in stride. It is in the interest of justice that such a position is arrived at, so that this matter is dealt with in a manner that is befitting. So as things stand now, the court has just adjourned some 3-4 minutes ago to the 27th of July 2021 for commencement of trial in a matter of abduction of Feluna and Milton Hatembo, allegedly by accused 1 up to accused number 5. So for now, this is where we leave it. The wheels of justice are in motion. We are well guided by the court's guidance, and we wait and await for the next sitting. And on behalf of the defense team, of course, we are ready to robustly defend our clients.
Zampalm, a subsidiary of the Industrial Development Corporation (IDC), has expanded its crude palm oil production to meet the local demand and has increased its outgrower scheme to 1,000 beneficiaries. Zampalm General Manager David Subukanya says so far the area planted by outgrowers in Kanchiria district has doubled to 700 hectares over the past years, and they are expanding outgrowers, hoping that by the year 2025 expansion will go up to 5,000 hectares. Mr. Sabukanya says the oil palm outgrower scheme aimed at increasing the domestic production of palm oil and its byproducts through the inclusion of individual farmers was commissioned in Kanchiria in 2019 by President Edgar Lungu and has expanded its oil palm plantation to 3,700 hectares, out of which 2,000 hectares have manure palm trees. He says the company is harvesting 1.7 metric tons of palm fruit per hectare in a year. Mr. Subokanya tells Camnet News that Zampalm has been achieving monthly production of over 120 metric tons of crude palm oil during peak period of the year, and is hopeful that with such production, the company will be able to meet the rise in demand from the local market.
During our peak period, we even go to 120 metric tons of crude palm oil per month. What we have experienced now, apart from our usual off-takers, which are major refineries, we have also seen coming on board of small industries that are in soap making, and so we have seen a rise in the demand of our crude palm oil. So it means we are making inroads into our Zambian market, which we did not anticipate.
The Ministry of Energy has called on petroleum companies to continue expanding the number of filling stations in the country in both rural and urban areas in order to increase access to petroleum products. Ministry of Energy Director Mandona Miyova says petroleum is a key industry that determines the economic, social and political outlooks of any country. Mrs. Miyova says competition brings about improvement in service delivery, stating that government will continue sourcing more investors in the energy sector and forging partnerships that will create much opportunities for the Zambian people in the energy sector. She said this in Lusaka Wednesday morning during the launch of Ruby's Energy Zambia, which has acquired Cobel and Sam Fuel. And Ruby's Energy Zambia Managing Director Vincent Flory says the launch of Ruby's is unleashing new frontiers through rebranding and creating new opportunities for Zambia to succeed.
I must mention that for a large number of countries in the world, petroleum is a key industry that determines economic, social and political outcomes. To exporting countries, petroleum accounts for high percentages of GDP, while to importing countries such as Zambia, it accounts for a large share of foreign exchange expenditures. Therefore, today's launch is an important and strategic one as it opens doors for many Zambians, not only consuming quality fuel, but also creation of job opportunities for local Zambians in different capacities. As the Ministry of Energy, we continue to look forward for more investors and forging partnerships that will create such opportunities for our people in the energy sector. Therefore, may I take this opportunity to encourage not only Ruby's Energy, but other OMCs to continue expanding the number of filling stations in the country, not only in the urban areas, but also in the rural areas in order to increase access to petroleum products.
There was no better time to have this launch than now. Despite the negative impacts of the pandemic, we believe in the potential of the Zambia economy to bounce back stronger, albeit gradually. It is in the same spirit that we chose to introduce fresh Ruby's Energy at this time to fuel the Zambian economy. For us, this energy is unleashing new frontiers through the rebrand and creating new opportunities for Zambians to succeed. The launch follows the successful acquisition of Cobel and Sam Fuel, deepening our presence in Zambia and strengthening our share of the petroleum sector with 40 service stations across the country.
Ruby's Energy.
The Pensions and Insurance Authority has welcomed the revision of the pension scheme investment guidelines by government, as it will enhance the development of the insurance industry in the country. Speaking at a media briefing in Lusaka, PIA Acting Registrar Tresford Chiavula says insurance investment guidelines had remained static, yet there have been many emerging investment opportunities and changes in the economic world. Mr. Chiavula explains that the revised investment guidelines have removed minimum limits on collective investment schemes and corporate bonds. And Mr. Chiavula adds that the authority has welcomed the passing of the Insurance Bill number 36 of 2021, which he says includes progressive clauses such as the regulation and supervision of micro-insurance. PIA Acting Registrar Insurance Namakau Ntini says the creation of the Fidelity Fund will ensure protection of investment in case of liquidation of a company.
It has been noted that the investment guidelines remained static, and yet there have been many emerging investment opportunities and changes in the world economies. Therefore, the revised guidelines have been developed to be more responsive to economic and emerging investment opportunities. A. Removed minimum limits on collective investment schemes and the corporate bonds. B. Increased thresholds in some investment classes. 3. The corporate bonds have had their thresholds increased from 7.5% to 10% investment in a single company. And 4. The collective investment schemes have had their thresholds increased from 10% to 20% in a single unit trust.
To speak to some of the provisions that the new Act is coming with. Basically, it enhances consumer protection. One of the issues that the Act is bringing about, for example, is if an insurance company is not settling claims within a certain stipulated time frame, there will be sanctions on the insurance company. So we are going to have a statutory instrument that will be passed that will be speaking to how insurance companies must settle their claims.
You're watching Camnet News. We'll take another break. We'll be back with international and sports news. Stay tuned.
At Master Signs, our services range from outdoor, indoor signage such as billboards, banners, 3D light boxes, pylons and neon signs. We are located at plot number 397A, Makeni Road, Lusaka, at Oryx Filling Station. For more details, call us on +260 967 100 090 or +260 966 999 981, or better still, email us at infomastersign@gmail.com. Master Sign, we will make it shine.
In this fast-paced era of industrial boom and population growth, there is need to invest in smart ways of managing electricity and water consumption and reducing utility billing costs associated with the postpaid billing system. At Savenda Electronics, we manufacture right here in Zambia different types of high-quality smart electricity and water meters to customer specifications. Savenda Electronics water and electricity meters help you monitor your usage and gives notifications such as low units, tampering, low battery, and many other features. These easy-to-use meters makes it easier to buy units even in these COVID times and top up just from the comfort of your space. Favorable contract terms are available to both electricity and water utilities. For more details, get in touch with us on the following numbers: 0956 580 349 or 0977 498 318. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
We celebrate our first anniversary of starting the news on Camnet TV on the 23rd of May 2021. Our aim is to deliver world-class news that is balanced and factual without fear or favor.
You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel.
As we celebrate our first anniversary, we're showing you the team behind the Camnet TV World News and show you some of the news clips that made headlines.
On behalf of management and the entire newsroom, happy anniversary to Camnet News.
This is one of the areas that was highly affected by floods.
Behind me is a group of persons living with cross-cutting disabilities who every month gather at this place to receive alms from well-wishers.
The Monetary Policy Committee decided to maintain the policy rate at 8.5%.
This incident provoked Kambuli's daughter to slap one police officer, a development that annoyed the men and women in uniform.
At the revelations of President Edgar Lungu's running mate, Professor Nkanduluo, clad in her ivory flamboyant outfit, walked in majestically as a running mate should.
The latest is a couple of Lusaka's Kanyama compound. They've assaulted each other of a meager 20 kwacha.
Kudyansi masinya mayoka. Waenda kujagulako chiwabwa 5 wagulako na tonshaba abana bazaze bazashita enjoy.
Have a good life. We will see you soon. Thank you. Thank you very much.
you, our viewers, we say thank you for supporting us as we continue bringing you nothing but the best.
Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Oh yes, it's Mayday all the way. You've worked hard. Now it's time to play even harder with entertainment that you'll absolutely love this month on GoTV. Okay. Shake things up a little and you'll never know what drama will fall. No matter your age, there's always some fun to be had. And if it ain't broke, they'll fix it anyway. For your favorite shows, stay connected to GoTV to get into Mayday entertainment.
Find something to distract me.
You got it, no problem. GoTV, love it.
The much awaited for Camnet conference is now scheduled for May 2021 with your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
We have believed that every Zambian was born for greatness, and that you and I can contribute to the development of this nation.
The big questions to ask are, can Zambia develop through agriculture? Can we produce indigenous Zambian millionaires? Plan not to miss this national conference on empowering Zambians through agriculture knowledge. Dates, 28th to 29th May 2021. Time, 0730 hours to 1630 hours. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Charges, 950 kwacha, lunch inclusive for both days. Payments through via mobile money on 0962 965 883 or 0979 753 010, or you can pay via Stanbic Bank account number 91 3000 1825 325. Speakers will be Professor Reda.
Zambia to be one of the best nations in Africa.
Professor Munkumba.
If you just listen to a lecture, you may remember hardly anything. In 2 weeks' time, it's all gone. If you read, you may remember 10% of what you've read. If you participate in a discussion, 50% retention of the knowledge. So I always tell people, knowledge is the only thing that when you share it, you don't lose it.
Professor Msongole.
Agriculture can actually solve our unemployment for our youth. Through exports, agricultural exports, we can also stabilize our foreign exchange.
Honorable Bobs Chinga.
When you do a budget, you plan it so that all the sectors, especially those that will give you low-lying fruits, in other words, you can achieve a lot with it, are the first things you do first.
And biologist Kamweneshe.
We came together and put our hands together and concentrate on the soil. The people in Kenya, these Swahili people said, Dongo ni mali, means soil, that's money.
Register your participation through Camnet lines. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. And in international news, the corruption trial of former South African President Jacob Zuma began Wednesday, more than 25 years after some of his alleged offenses. Zuma, who was president from 2009 until he was forced out in 2018 amid multiple graft scandals, pleaded not guilty to corruption, racketeering, fraud, tax evasion and money laundering at Pietermaritzburg High Court. Among the charges, Zuma is accused of taking bribes from French company Thales to ensure that South Africa signed a multi-billion-dollar arms deal with the company in 1999. Zuma was deputy president of South Africa from 1999 until 2005, when he was fired from that role amid allegations of corruption. Some of the charges against the 79-year-old Zuma date back to the mid-1990s. Prosecutors alleged between 1995 and 2001, Zuma and Thales were involved in an organized criminal enterprise. They also accused Zuma of taking bribes from a former financial advisor as far back as 1995 in exchange for using his political power to advance the advisor's business interests. That corrupt relationship lasted for 10 years, prosecutors said. Zuma could be jailed for 25 years if convicted. On Wednesday, Zuma's lawyer filed papers calling for the removal of chief prosecutor in the case, claiming he was biased and Zuma's right to a fair trial was threatened.
Mr. Zuma, could I ask you to stand, please? You have followed the charges that have been put to you now from the indictment, am I correct? Yes. And no doubt, in consultation with your legal representatives, these charges have been explained to you, you understand what they entail?
Yes.
May I ask you then as to how you plead to the charges that have been put to you, which are respectively counts 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 to 18, with the sub-counts and alternatives that have been read out?
Yes, I heard them.
How do you plead to them?
I plead not guilty.
Thank you. You may be seated. Perhaps let me just record the plea of the second accused as well, Mr. Popo, if that's in order. Mr. Roo, where's the representative from Thales? There.
Mr. Durant.
Yes. So you've heard the charges that have been put from the indictment. In respect of accused number 2, who you represent, they relate to counts 1, 3, 5, and 6, with the sub-counts and the alternatives that have been read out this morning. Likewise, as with Mr. Zuma, I take it you are aware of those charges. You've no doubt had the benefit of legal advice in regard thereto, and you understand those charges.
I plead not guilty, my lord.
You plead not guilty to counts 1, 3, 5, and 6, and the alternatives. Thank you very much. You may be seated.
Mali's strongman on Tuesday pushed out leaders tasked with steering the return to civilian rule following a coup, as former colonial power France warned it could lead a charge to impose sanctions against the regime. Colonel Assimi Goita, who headed a junta that seized power less than 10 months ago, said that transitional President Bando and Prime Minister Moktar Wen had been stripped of their powers, and he promised elections in 2022. The announcement marks the latest crisis to hit the vast West African country, burdened by poverty and struggling with a militant insurgency. Ndo and Wen have been heading an interim government that was installed in September under the threat of regional sanctions, with the declared aim of restoring full civilian rule within 18 months. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, on Tuesday dispatched former Nigerian leader Goodluck Jonathan to Bamako as it scrambled to respond to the latest crisis in the Sahel country.
To Bamako Tuesday as regional former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan jetted into Bamako Tuesday as regional bloc ECOWAS scrambled to respond to a new army takeover in Mali. On Monday, Colonel Assimi Goita confirmed that he had grabbed power from transitional President Bandao and his Prime Minister after accusing them of breaking the rules governing their interim administration. Until Monday, Goita, who led the coup against President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta last August, was the transitional government's vice president. He has accused Ndao of carrying out a cabinet reshuffle without consulting him.
Of course, we're here because there are some few developments that ECOWAS is a bit worried. And as the team that is mediating, we need to come and listen to our people, what is happening. We cannot say anything very definite now until we have a discussion with the people, the civil society, citizens of Mali, the military, and those who were in government. After this conversation, then we will have something definite to tell the media.
The United Nations, the African Union, and ECOWAS condemned the army takeover and called for the detained leaders to be released. Ndao had been handed an 18-month mandate back in September to steer Mali back to civilian rule. But activists and political parties have repeatedly accused the army of seeking to dominate power and of frustrating a return to democracy in the Sahel country.
It's now time for sports news. In sports news, Zumfoot reports that Chris Kaunda has become the latest coach to be sent on administrative leave after the club confirmed he will miss the last 4 league games. According to a statement by ZANACO Media and Public Relations Officer Martha Nshimbi, Mr. Takatiko has been put on leave following a string of poor results. General Manager Marlon Kananda announced the development to the players and technical bench before the Wednesday morning training session at Sunset. Kaunda's 1.5 season stint at ZANACO FC coach has come to a halt after 2 consecutive defeats to bottom-placed KITWE United and BuildCon FC. Team manager, assistant coach Robin Munsaka will take charge of the team in the interim until the end of the season. The Bankers are currently second on the log with 50 points, 8 adrift of log leaders Zesco United, who have played 2 games less. However, they have suffered back-to-back defeats, first losing 2-1 to relegated KITWE United at home before being humiliated by BuildCon 4-0 on Tuesday. That story brings us to the end of the news, but we'll take a look at the headlines once more. President Edgar Lungu directs police to enforce health guidelines amid political rallies. Police cancel UPND KITWE political campaign launch rally. CONCOURT refuses to withdraw John SANGWA'S ECL eligibility case. And in international news, Jacob Zuma pleads not guilty to arms deal corruption scandals. And in sports, ZANACO sack Mr. TAKATIKO as Chris KAUNDA is sent on leave for the remainder of the season. The Camnet wild verse of the day is coming from the book of Matthew 23, verse 11 to 12, and it reads, "The greatest among you will be your servant. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted." Thanks for watching. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Bye-bye.